Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show.
What happened? During the release time period of the first 3 VHS tapes of the Barney franchise, you could find the dark purple dinosaur appearing at various events across the Texas area. After the initial belief that the series may not have taken off following those home videos, popularity began to rise. This prompted a near immediate decision to keep the production rolling. In 1990, the Lions Group would begin the release schedule of 3 new home videos, first putting out the 4th installment of the Barney and the Backyard Gang series, this being Barney's Waiting for Santa.
1, 2, 3.
Waiting for Santa marked many firsts for the franchise, most notably Barney's complete 180 in regards to his physical appearance. Mentioning in the previous outing my initial fear of the original Barney upon first glance, seeing this Barney for the first time never frightened me, but more so left me confused.
Five Nights at Freddy.
The Lions Group and Irene Corey went to work at softening the attributes of the character after receiving feedback. Barney's color is now a much lighter shade, a bright magenta as opposed to a deep royal purple. His chin, rounder. In fact, his nose is now also rounder, no longer boxy, and now remains firm, preventing any possible damage and floppiness from movement unlike before. Just about everything in terms of his design has become softer, and again, rounder. For better or worse. For instance, now his eyes appear larger, with his eyelids being a different shade of purple than the body itself. The empty openings above the eyelids that were present on the previous costume are now a lot more visible and apparent, with the body color being so much lighter. The eyes are still movable, however, we never see the eyelids blink all the way. The closest we get are in the second home video of this run, Campfire Sing-Along, in which the suit performer can be seen attempting to close the eyelids, not quite making it all the way. Suit performer David Voss and voice actor Bob West both returned to reprise their roles, and both also working to heighten their performance as well. In tandem with the design change of the character, not only does West raise the pitch of Barney's voice,
Hi kids, I'm Barney the Dinosaur. Guess what? Now you can join my fan club.
but Voss also becomes more nimble in this iteration, swaying back and forth with nearly every line.
Barney! Oh, Barney, you hurt me!
I sure did, Tina.
I don't think I've ever gotten over the somewhat uncanny nature of this iteration of Barney, and I know a lot of people surely have their fondness for him, being that Barney's Waiting for Santa for a good while was the best-selling home video in the franchise. For me, however, it always felt strange, as if you could tell that even for the time, he wouldn't be around for all that long at all. In fact, early box art for the home video, Barney in Concert, a tape to be released after Barney Goes to School, featured a stock promo shot of this Barney on the cover, only for an entirely new costume to premiere at the event's taping, one that would continue on with the franchise for years, essentially leaving this one in the dust. This Barney, much like its predecessor, would make appearances at different select events throughout the year. What's interesting is that even though he'd be present, on the flyers for some events would either be artwork or a photo of the first Barney instead. It really was a game of chance on whether the correct Barney would appear on the paper or not, as it seemed to be whichever costume was more readily available. Keeping in mind that the set of videos this costume featured in were released in April, May, and August of 1990, and these in-person appearances happened all throughout. You could find 1990s Barney all the way into 1991, which is fascinating in a lot of ways. For one, this is the year that yet another new Barney costume would be unveiled, one we have yet to cover as it would stay with the series for a long time. Even still, 1990s Barney would show up on the VHS covers for Barney home videos that he did not appear in. When the older tapes would see re-releases, and even when newer ones came out, you'd find him at the top left, with a photo making it very apparent that it's not at all a promo image, but instead a shot of the costume on a stand with no person inside of it. It's also sort of strange in the sense that when you look back at the covers for the first 3 videos of the franchise, Barney is featured very prominently on each and every one. However, with this new set of 3, Barney was only featured on a rare variant of Waiting for Santa, as opposed to the widely released version, off to the side for Barney's Campfire Sing-Along, and nowhere on Barney Goes to School, not even on the back of the box. Not to speak for anyone, of course, but it almost felt as though they didn't want him on the box in a way. Goodness me, even the logo for the series remained exactly the same after the redesign. They just lightened it a bit. Over time, this costume would begin to fall apart, though not as publicly or dramatically as the previous iteration that we know of. To be clear, in 1991, if you count the cheaper costume used at certain events, there were at least 4 different versions of Barney the Dinosaur roaming around, and they were all official. It wouldn't be long before we'd hit the Barney that the world became most familiar with, but for the time being, the franchise was in a bit of a transitional phase. Barney's appearance had yet to fully gain its true identity and would change drastically even in just one short year. I truly believe you never forget the first time you saw this version of Barney appear when a tape is put in. That's the effect that Barney and the Backyard Gang had. But regardless of the look, it was still Barney. His personality lent the lenience of the crew being able to fix his appearance so effortlessly and without issue with its viewer base or the parents. On the inside, it was still the character that we all loved. They'd get there eventually. It's only make-believe.
Well, that's a wrap. See you next time.
Gotcha!
Alicia, Andrew, Austin, Brandon, Katie, Disney Captain, Donnie, Emilia, Helen, Ian, Junior the Hedgehog, Matthew, Mia T. Toon, Prima Donna.